for any informal settlement, like you all are seated here today, your only one wish is to get the title for your land. That's your only wish. We understand that. That's what you want. And for that to happen, there is a process involved. Now, you may have been living in this area for last 20 years. Some people may be living here for 30 years. Am I right? Yes. For a very long time. All right. Now, initially when you came here, you must have made an arrangement with your Mataqali, right? Mataqali, the landowner. And that's how you started living in these premises. Now, as you know, you may be thinking for last 30 years I'm living here, and why this settlement is not being developed. Now, obviously, this settlement cannot be developed because the land does not belong to the government. Clear? It doesn't. The land belongs to the landowners, and we respect that. So, first step in the process when we want to develop any informal settlement is, first we have to acquire development lease. Now, to get a development lease, 60% of the Mataqali must agree. 60%. 40% don't agree, that's allowed. But 60% must agree that they want to give this particular land for community use or for the government use or for whatever purpose. So it was in 2018, last year. Only last year we acquired the development lease for this place, right? So you cannot hold anybody to account as to why nothing has happened for last 30 years. As I said, the land didn't belong to us. We have to negotiate. So that's how we got the development lease. Now, after acquiring the development lease, then there are other processes involved. The first one is we do a survey, socio-economic survey, where house-to-house visits are made, and we number the houses, we take all the details, we put it into our database. Then the second step is topography, survey is done. So we want to know where is your river, where is your lake, where is your drain, what are the other features of this place. So we have to capture that. So once that is done, then the next step is drawing up the scheme plan. Remember, it's always easy to subdivide a land where nobody lives. Very easy. It's a blank, it's an empty piece of land. You'll know exactly where to put the road, how to subdivide, where you're going to put the drain, etc., and you can give the lots. Very easy. It's not easy when people are already living in the subdivision, because we have got a problem, and our problem is that we always say this is mine, that is mine. Agree? This driveway is mine, that drain is mine, that fence is mine, isn't it? So imagine if this is our view, then how can you expect things to happen smoothly? So as soon as we're going to draw up the scheme plan, so scheme plan will give us more details of this place and how we're going to do the subdivision, etc. Then the next step is it will go to TLTB for their approval. Remember, it's their land. They have to approve, they have to give their consent. Then it will go to Town and Country Planning for the approval as well. After that, then the drawings are properly made. Proper drawings are done. Once the drawings are properly done, then it is stamped again by Town and Country Planning. Once that is done, then we call for the tender. Right? We put it out in the paper. We say, okay, who are the construction companies interested in doing the subdivision work in a particular area. So it is called through a tender process. Once that is done, then we award the tender to a company. And then the company can come here to subdivide the land. Once the subdivision is, when we talk about subdivision, subdivision means that we should have proper road, proper drains, proper electricity. At the moment, you don't have proper system. That was only facilitated by this government, right? And also water was facilitated because it's just humanity. It must be given, right? So that's why that was done. But we don't know where the pipes are, whose pipe is cross-cutting the others. We have no idea. So that's where more detailed work is required, where water authority will come and have a look, electricity authority will come and have a look, then the drains, how we're going to have the drains, because drain is not, our usual thinking is, oh, this part of the land is empty, let's put the drain there. No, drain has to be done in a proper way so that it takes the water away. The last thing you want is, if the drains are misplaced, then the water will backfire. You see, so everything has to be done properly. That's all I'm saying. So this is the long process. Now you may be asking, where are you in the process? Now you are absolutely at the beginning stage because your lease was just acquired last year. And the socio-economic survey has been done. And if you're going to ask me, I'll be very honest with you. If you're going to ask me whether this development is going to happen this year or next year, my answer is no. It will not. And I'll give you the reasons as to why it cannot happen this year, which is like we are in the month of July, or next year. Next year's budget was read, and this area is not in the list yet. But it doesn't mean that we will not develop the area. The fact that we acquired the development lease, definitely there is a reason behind it. Otherwise, why waste the money? Isn't it? Now, let me just talk about the problems that we face in other subdivision. When we go to other subdivision, there are a number of subdivision which is in the development phase. In other words, the contractors are there, they're trying to get the work done, but it's the community who is blocking the contractor. As I said initially to you, the problem we have is, this is my road, this is my drain, this is my hedge, this is my compound. Am I right? But let me make one thing very, very clear to you. It's not yours. Absolutely not yours. The one you are saying, this my land, it's not your land because you don't have a title. The time you are given a title, then confidently you can say, this area is mine. Today you don't have a title. You can't claim that this area is mine, this drain is mine, why people are walking through my driveway, because it's really not yours. You got to understand that. What we see in other communities, they fight a lot amongst themselves. And it's expected in any informal settlement, it's expected that people will fight because there is no clear demarcation. There is no clear demarcation. So when the subdivision happens, then obviously somebody will say, no, I don't want the road to be this way. I want the road to be from the other side. I don't want the drain to be this side. Nobody dictates that. Nobody should dictate that. Because you are not an expert in that area, and neither am I. I'm not an expert in that area. So we have to leave it to the engineers. That's why they're engineer, right? So when they do the design, we should accept that. We also expect harmony and peace within the community. Because one simple rule that I have introduced, any community who fights, who will be becoming an obstacle in the development process, then I will have no option but to call that contractor out of that settlement and assign him another job. If I don't do that, I'm losing money. by hiring a contractor who is not able to do the work. You understand, right? So this is where I'm expecting lot of cooperation, lot of good thinking amongst yourselves. That if you all want a lease title, then we all have to work together. Not only you, even we have to work with you. But we will definitely make sure that when we do the scheme plan, we'll have a discussion. When we do the engineering plan, we'll have a discussion. When the contractors come in, we'll again have a discussion, so that everything runs smoothly. Right? So that's the point that I wanted to highlight. Now, most of us sitting here would be wondering, why it is taking so long, etc., etc. I would simply say to you that you are one of the luckiest informal settlement. Your Mataqali has been very kind to you, because the Mataqali has agreed to give the land for development, and they've given the assurance, and that's why TLTB has issued the development lease. And if you're going to ask me how many development lease do we have in the country, my answer to you is only 43 development lease, and you happen to be one of them. So at least appreciate. We have to appreciate and acknowledge the goodwill from the landowners, right? In Sakoda, if you go into Sakoda, you'll see one side, they have the development lease. But the other side, there is no development lease. And people living on the other side, they're saying, oh, but why isn't government doing anything? What can we do? It's not our land. We have to wait till 60% of the Mataqali agrees. You see where I'm coming from? So at least for this area, we've got the development lease, and we're going to move with it. And if you're going to ask me how many informal settlement, all this while I was very confident, and I was saying, well, over 250. I wasn't wrong. We are almost close to 300 informal settlements. So that's a big number. And we were able to do that through our tally system. We did a cross-checking with Lands Department and other places. So we have compiled all the informal settlement, and we are still compiling it, right? So it is our intention to develop the area. Now, even developing an area is not an easy process. Besides, taking into consideration that people live there, and then you have to make the roads, etc. But if you just sit and think, most of you may be aware of the technical skills or shortage of technical skills that we have in the country. Very hard to find carpenters, am I right? Very, very hard. If you're making your house, how long does it take? It's not easy. Now, if you're doing a big development like this, which is $1 million project, it's extremely difficult to find the right people. And we have seen that in many other settlements. Sometimes we take consultant on board. They are not really working at the pace we want. So we have to make sure that our contract is soundproof, contract that will serve the interest of the community as well as the government. So these are some of the things that we have to put in place. And the last point that I want to make, this is absolutely last point, and then after that we'll open up for question and answers. The last point I want to make, that for each settlement to be developed, it depends upon the size. It can cost between $4 to $10 million. So if we have like 300 settlements, you can imagine how much money we need to develop each and every settlement. So we have to come up with a system. A system must be developed so that we have an inflow of money so that we can continue to develop the settlements. So what we'll be doing, we are developing a policy. It is called a means test. It simply means people who cannot afford, they're earning below certain dollar value, Government will assist you in giving you the land. We will pay for it. But people in the household income bracket of certain amount, you have to pay certain amount. And it goes on. Because those days are gone when there was this thinking that anybody who lives in the informal settlement is poor, which is not true. We are seeing certain situations in different development places, different settlements. I can give you a number of examples. I'll share it with you tonight. We gave a land to this lady in Klopkot in Ba. She sold that land and she's now settled in Field 4. Why Field 4? Because that's the area that will be developed. Should we encourage that? Should we allow that? This is stealing from the government. Then we've got another case where a gentleman already, they had land. They sold it for $250,000, and now they have settled themselves in another development, subdivision work that is going on. Should we be allowing that? Then I'm also aware of cases where people own houses outside. They've rented it out and they've moved into the settlement. Why? Because they will get free land. I also have cases in Narere, Navosai, we were there the other night, where people own houses within the settlement, they've given it out on rent, and they're living somewhere else. Some have even migrated, giving the account number for the tenants to put their money in. How can you say these people need a place to live? Isn't it? So this is all based on the evidence we have gathered. And based on this evidence, we have to come up with a system. Because I can tell you one thing, no one, absolutely no one can be mortgage free. Everybody, if you want land, you have to pay for it. Look at, our parents. Who gave them anything free? They all had to work hard, pay for it, and make everything for themselves. So here, what we are saying, that there would be certain amounts introduced. We're working on that policy. We will let the community know. Everybody has to pay for it so that we can keep making the money and we can keep developing other settlements. Because otherwise, we don't have that kind of money. Because generally, if you look at these settlements, if you look at the taxation system the government has, anyone who is earning below 30,000, you are not taxed. You don't pay a single tax, right? There is no tax. In other words, you don't pay income tax. When you live in the informal settlement, do you pay rates? You don't. And you shouldn't, because the area is not developed. So why should you pay rates? So who collects your garbage? Your rubbish. Who collects the rubbish? Is there any collection system here? How many days? 2 weeks ago. Yeah, just because in the budget announcement, $3 million has been set aside for rubbish collection. For how many days do you get, your rubbish is collected?
We have the waste care.
And how many days do they come here to collect?
Once a week.
Once a week. Okay, that's good enough from no system to some system. So only thing, we have to make an effort to put our rubbish at the right place, isn't it? Okay, so that's all I wanted to share with you. And maybe now we can open up the floor for question, and maybe I should ask the team who are with me if they want to add anything before we open up for question and answers. Anyone who wants to add anything?